Hello, welcome back, Steve's Retirement Corner. What I would have done different. Real quick, not a darn thing. We're happy with the way things actually turned out, to be honest with you. But in order for me to change anything, man, it would have totally changed my retirement. It would have prevented me from retiring. Is what it would have done. This is a question I got from Just Living 2018, I believe, a week or so ago. It's a good question, something I never thought of, or probably never would have thought about. But it's also a real hard one for me to answer, because in order for me to retire when I did, you know, the way I had to go about things, I was really left with no options. Everything's dictated to me. I had very few options, if any, and most of the time it was a choice between the least of two evils is what it was. Anything I'm actually doing in retirement or done for planning for retirement really didn't have much effect on it. Hey man, I couldn't come up with anything actually that I would change, but I was able to come up with some things that I'd like to have the opportunity to change. How's that? I'm gonna make 2 videos, man, because I want to try to get my point across and not make it too long. So the next one will probably be 2 more things I would have changed or some bull like that. But the first one comes off easy, man. I'd love to stack more cash. You know, originally I'd planned on going out at 60, having 5 years cash, let that carry me to 65. Then I could get Social Security. If you know, for some reason I hung in there to 62, then I got to my full retirement age at 67. You know, those solve all your biggest problems, is running out of money and health insurance, because you're able for both of them at 65. Reason I did that, that's the whole purpose of coming up with that number. But since I wanted to retire at 57, I decided to retire at 57. You know, I essentially doubled my time frame and or doubled my money and cut my time frame down by 60%, because I come up with a 5-year plan at 55. You know, and you know, I was on track and everything. It would have been a gravy retirement. You know, not that it ain't now, but it's a little different than it would have been. You know what I mean? But in order for me to get the same kind of plan now, I had to go with 10 years of cash, and I had to figure it out in 2 years and build it up in 2 years, in 2 years instead of 5. So I was working under the gun. I only had 3 when I retired, about 3 when I retired. So in order to get the same kind of setup, I moved 7 years of cash into my stable value fund, essentially cash fund, in my 401. I got the same setup that I don't have to be worried about my first decade of retirement. Everything is I ain't got to worry about the stock market, the economy, or whatever. You know, everything I'm guaranteed in the first 10 years. How's that? You know, and actually that turned into an actual benefit. You know, because I didn't lose as much money in 22 as I could have when the stock market tanked like it did. I essentially retired with the same money as I started that year off with. I was only down a couple of grand. So I mean, it saved, you know, dumb luck saved my butt again. You know, that's the whole reason I'm at 60/40. It's not because it was recommended. It's not because it's a model portfolio or anything. But by moving 7 years cash into my stable value fund, it put me at 60/40. So I mean, I would have liked to have had that 5 years. But now that I'm retired, I realize I don't need it. But that was the original plan for me, so it kind of hung around on me. You know what I mean? But now I'm gonna be happy with about 3. We get some kind of daggone spider. Got him. Another thing is truck payment. I never would have bought that truck if I if I'd have known I'd only had another year or so to work. I don't know what I'd have done different, but we would have. You always taught, man, hey man, retire with no debt, man. It's the best way to do it, and it's totally 100% correct, man. I mean, it only makes common sense. The less you have going out, the less you need coming in. It's basic math. And it was my plan. I bought it then because I knew before I turned 60 or 62 I'd have it paid off. But I got the fat head and decided I was good enough to retire early, and so I had to make a decision. Do I pay it off, or do I carry the note? I carried the note. It really doesn't change our lifestyle a bit in retirement, to be honest with you. If it would have, I would have paid it off. But I have a hard time letting go of any kind of money, a chunk like that. I mean, if you buy you a $40,000 vehicle or a $20,000 vehicle or $15,000 or whatever, I always double it, because my first thought is, hey man, I done spent 20 grand on that vehicle. If something happens tomorrow and I need that 20 grand, I'm down 40 grand from the get-go. I mean, that's a year's daggone living for me. It might not be a lot of money for you, but man, I tell you what, it's a lot to us. That's the way I'm thinking. This way here, I'm kind of getting my cake and eating it too. It's, how they say it, you know what I mean? I could spend that 20 grand or 30 or whatever that would have valued the vehicle was for an emergency, and still have the vehicle, and it won't affect how we're living. So, and be honest with you, Doc, it's only $300. If I was worried about that, I shouldn't have retired anyways. You know what I mean? And it's a benefit to us too, because as soon as we get ready to pay it off, it acts as a 10% raise to us. A couple years into retirement, and I ain't got to make an extra nickel to get that raise. So I mean, and that $300 ain't gonna make a difference on us. All it's gonna really do, our lifestyle, all it really does is give us a little extra cushion for hiccups. You know what I mean? Hey man, the smart thing would have been to pay the sucker off. I got no doubts in that. But sometimes, man, doing the smart thing financially just isn't the best thing for me to do. Smart thing would have been to stay in there at least till I was 60 and build my pension up. But no, I retired early and got a dock in that. Smart things, retire at 65. Then I ain't got to worry about getting health insurance. I got less time to live. I got more time to build up money. I mean, those are smart things financially to do. A lot of that smart thing financially doesn't work for me. I have to figure out another way. And that's why those are two of the biggest things that I would have, if I'd have had the option, I would have done. But by me retiring a couple of years earlier than I'd planned on, my time frame went down and my needs went up. So I had to, I call it MacGyver retirement plan. We took a daggone bolt I found over in a shed there, a piece of chewing gum and a hairpin, and kind of built a retirement we're happy with. I don't know, man. But that's two of the things that that if I'd had the opportunity, I would have changed. And those come straight from me choosing to retire a couple of years earlier than I'd planned. Now, I got a couple more I'm gonna put out. One of them is to streamline and cut the fat of my finances and bills and stuff like that, And then another one is just not to be too concerned. I wouldn't have been too concerned over the financial aspects of retirement. And both of those stem off not when I chose to retire, but how I chose to retire. It's more of a mental thing than anything else. But I didn't I didn't want to include all that in here because daggone it made it too long of a video, and it ain't for me to make one long, and I know it ain't for you to listen too much to my blabbering. But anyways, man, I appreciate y'all listening, and we'll get back with part 2 later on. But y'all take care of yourselves, man. Enjoy your week, and I will talk to y'all later.